All right. Hi, everyone. How are you? Tired? Okay. Thank you for coming to the pre-departure orientation for approved programs. We've actually got a pretty interesting mix of programs represented in this group. There should be more coming. There'll be about 20 of you all going to some different locations. But before we dive into that, I'm Lisa Johnson, and I'm the Associate Dean for International Study here at Smith. So my primary role is to help all of you get abroad, and it looks like that's going to happen. And stuff, and I'm here today for my esteemed colleague.
Yes, I'm Angelo Pisano. I'm the study abroad coordinator in the office, and really excited to see kind of what you make next semester. And when you get back as well, I'll be excited to work with you on all sorts of different things. Yeah.
Great. So we'll be here for just about an hour, maybe a little less if we can work it in there. But this is our third pre-departure orientation this week, and they've been running about an hour. But the previous ones, last two ones, we had about 10 minutes of tech problems, and today we only had 5. So we're getting better as we go along. So, okay, there we go. This is what we're going to do. We're going to spend some time with introductions. And then we're going to spend a little bit more time with pre-departure reflections. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about COVID monitoring. Then we're going to talk about some things to be thinking about before, during, and after study abroad. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. Okay. So you should have all received an email just about 5 minutes ago with a URL to connect to a Jamboard. Seriously? And I'd like you to take about 3 minutes to work on this first Jamboard. Add an image that demonstrates where you will be sitting from.
Do you want me to do the screen share swap? Because we're still.
Oh, yes, please. Sorry about that. Thank you. I forgot to stop. Thank you. Some previous students, if you don't want to upload an image, you can draw, or you can use the drawing function. We had an artistic rendition of the Swiss flag yesterday. It was kind of fun. So, you know, you can be creative.
Yeah, the only way to do this is through the app. There's not like a website.
That's what we learned. We just got on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that one.
Maybe from the iPad?
It just
Oh,
recognized you.
it's recognized you too. Yeah, I'm trying to do it from my iPad as well.
So is it not working on cell phones? Is that what I'm understanding?
If you don't have the app already.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, we got another artistic rendition coming. I like it. Very good. Okay. So, Angela, I didn't talk to you about this before, but can you guess where what these images are?
I'm intrigued by this top right one. I don't know, so I'm curious to hear where that is. But I can definitely feel some Denmark vibes, with clear flag.
So who's going to Denmark?
Yeah, just going.
Very good. Yeah,
It's
a lot of
in
you.
the
There's
front row.
actually quite a few. Almost like 11 or 12. I think are going to Denmark. Very good.
And
Okay.
I'm stumped by most of the others. I don't know, is this riverfront here also Denmark?
With the red and white flag.
No, the one that just got carried off to the left. Also Denmark? Okay, yeah, so, okay, that's good. The bikes are Denmark. The
Flags are always
bikes on the
Denmark.
river are also Denmark. The one with flags also obviously Denmark. Which means the top middle is also Denmark, because that's kind of the same houseboat, isn't it?
The same down,
Yeah.
both different perspectives. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good.
I'm stumped after that.
Okay. So upper right hand corner. Where's that?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. Hey, Margo, how are you? Margo's going to Buenos Aires as of this morning. She was meant to go to Peru, and her program closed. So, yeah, Buenos Aires, very good. All right, how about lower right hand corner?
It's like a big plaza with the columns in the background.
No, lower right, with the green, the building with the green.
That's, oh, not columns. Yeah, you're right. Where is that?
Whose photo is that? Image? Nobody. Okay, cool. We've got a ghost. Great. What about next to it? I think here. Which one?
The bottom.
The with the ice and the green. Oh, Copenhagen. Okay, great. Wow. Okay, it might look like that when you all get there, just so you know. Okay. What about next to it with the interior kind of pool and columns?
That's Bath.
What is it?
Bath.
Bath, England. Very good. And those are baths, literal baths, right? Excellent. Okay. Very good. What's that?
That's the harbor in Iceland I've been staying at for a while. I think you pronounce it Ísafjörður.
Okay, very good. So you've been practicing your Icelandic.
I tried.
Yes, sort of. Yeah, okay. Good, good, good. There are 3 students on campus now who were in Iceland last spring semester. And then there's 2, I think, or 3 who are there right now. Yeah, so we can create an Icelandic club. That's good. Okay, what's this one?
That's Seoul, South Korea.
Seoul, very good, all right. And so you have been trying to get to South Korea for how long now?
Yeah, for a long time.
2 years at least, right? So, and you're finally gonna get to it, so that's exciting. This has been trying since your sophomore year, yeah, when you applied for the first year. Okay, did we miss anybody? We got the Denmarks, we got the England, and Argentina, great. Okay, so move to the next Jamboard and use either the pen or post-it notes to jot down some of your thoughts to these questions. There are 3 boards. What are some of the things that are coming to mind? What are you worried about? The next one is what are some of the things you need to do to get ready? And then the third board is what are you hoping to gain from study abroad? So take some time with those boards. Right, if you've done the first part, you can move to the second one, which is, what do you still need to do? It's the little thing it's so plus.
This? Just go on about.
Oh, go out of that, sorry.
It's not this one.
Uh-oh, someone's an overpacker. I'm glad someone put Joel, we're gonna talk about that today. Okay, and how about then the last panel? What are you hoping to gain from your Shaver experience? How to bike, I'm assuming that was someone going to Denmark. Biking there is almost as dangerous as cars. Like there's car lanes and there's real bike lanes with curves and everything. And yeah, you really have to pay attention because they come at you really fast and from nowhere, and you can't really hear them like you could a car. So it's a thing. You want to do the step one? Yeah. I meant to talk to you about this, but all that. Okay, let's go to the second slide. You can continue posting if you want to, but we're gonna just do a little bit of a report out.
Yeah, so you all are actually my favorite so far because you like group the stickies together.
I'm sorry, one little pause. The group that you're here, why you're here together today is because you're all going on programs where you'll be taking 1 or 2 of your courses at a program site and then 1 or 2 courses at the university, with the exception of Denmark. Denmark, you're taking all your classes with NCIS. The other groups that we've had were the students going to the UK, direct enroll, the students going on the Smith programs, you guys today, and then tomorrow there's a big group going to Spain. So they're their own group. So that's why you're here together today.
That's right.
So
yeah, and our direct enroll and Smith programs groups did not care to organize the stickies together, and you all did, so that's good. We have language barriers. That's something to think about. That's come to mind so far when you're planning your experience. We have COVID, of course, going on your program and then being sent back home. We have discussion up here about food, getting used to and exploring a different culture, what the host family experience is going to be like. I think that's a great one. And cooking, food generally speaking. I think that's like the visible part of culture, right? When you think about being away in a new place. So it's easily pops into mind. And a concern or thought anyway about graduation as well. So good to have those things flowing. Yeah.
And before we go to the next panel, we will be talking a little bit more in depth about COVID in a couple minutes, so we're not gonna just gloss over that, it's coming.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, how about the next slide there?
So this is things that you still need to do, and yeah, we've got a lot of good things on here. Duo, we already mentioned, talking about phone plans, budgeting, visa and residence fees and things like that for your host countries, as well as travel overall. I'm seeing flights up here and sorting out medical arrangements. So we'll talk about insurance today too, and then a fight with immigration people for visas. That's
Who's starting for the visa? Where to?
Iceland.
Iceland, okay.
I had to do so many background checks that my bank wouldn't let me pay the fee to an Iceland bank because it looks sketchy and I'm too young. So my mom had to do it, but they would only accept it if it was my mom's visa, even though I paid each time. So it's this whole thing.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's being worked out?
I'm
Okay.
hoping.
Okay, all right.
and finishing DIS modules. So yeah, that's good. You're also thinking about like pre-pressure from both aspects. So that's important as well.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right.
And then things to gain. So this is a really right time right now to actually be thinking about all these things. Like, what will a day look like when you are successfully halfway through or completely through your program? Biking is a great goal. Learning the language is a great goal. This idea of connecting with friends and being more independent and confident seeing on the board here is important as well. Let's see. Okay, yeah, life goals, visiting first glaciers. That's definitely a key one when you're going to be in a place like Iceland. Fluency in the language. And let's see, I'm missing something. More travel, more language. Oh, and this is really nice too. Yeah, host family being people that you can always talk to. So forming a little bit of like global family for when you're overseas. I like that. As a goal from your program, and something that you can benchmark, right? Like, okay, how is it going? Like, how can I deepen this relationship a little bit throughout the experience?
Great, thank you. I just want to make a comment too. I like that there's quite a few mentions of making new friends, because also on the previous panel, there was some comments, and we've seen this in the past with the experiencing a little bit of FOMO, like what's going on here and stuff like that. And what will happen likely is you'll be homesick for sure, but then you'll start making new friends, and then perhaps your friends here will also be experiencing FOMO from your experiences about all the fun things that you're doing abroad. So there is a balance, it is a transition, and stuff like that. So that's great. Any questions, comments? All right, I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint now. I think. And now I figure out how to.
Restart the share.
Yep, thank you. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's talk about before you go. Here we go. First thing, dual authentication. So if you've all been registered for the pre-departure Moodle site, and so you will find in there information on how to set up Duo. Before the steps you need to take before you leave campus, or the area, and then the steps you should be taking if you get a new SIM card for your phone, or if you get like just a little what do they call burner phones, so that you have a local phone number, and how do you use that so that you can always be accessing Smith Network back here. The last thing you want to do is get rid of or be locked out of Smith email. Okay. With that said, if that does happen, you can contact ITS and they will help you out. So you should try to get things set up before you go. And then there was a mention about calling your phone company as well, that's a good idea, to see if there's like a regional international plan with your phone plan that you could use, or should you be thinking about getting a SIM card, a local SIM card, and putting that into your phone. If that's the case, make sure that your phone is unlocked, and that you can actually swap out SIM cards. I think most of them are now, but just check to be sure. In terms of money and budgeting, for those of you who are who will be cooking for yourselves, and I think I saw that a little bit, you'll be receiving a food stipend, if not already, next week. Food stipend, airfare stipends have come out, but food stipends will be coming so that you can cover your food expenses while you're abroad. And I mentioned the stipends because those are things that you're going to have to budget, right? You're going to get a set amount, and you're going to have to calculate how much of that amount can you spend each week to buy your groceries and stuff. And so if you haven't had a lot of experience in budgeting just yet, then you might want to start now. It's a good skill to have, and particularly as you're moving forward. And again, in the Moodle site, there's lots of good information about even there's budgeting apps that you could be using and stuff that will help you with that. And as much as the stipend as your own personal money, because one of the things you will need to keep track of are exchange rates, and how much, even if something appears to be cheap in the local currency, that might be really expensive depending on the exchange rate and stuff. So you want to keep track of that. Also, if you're using, a lot of people use debit cards or their credit cards, check with your banks to see if there's an international transaction fee, because you would have to add that to your expenses as well, and stuff. Some banks, I believe Bank of America, I'm not entirely sure, but quote me on that, allow you to use their cards without any international transaction. So check that out. And definitely let your banks know that you're going to be out of the country for a certain period of time so that they don't see suspicious charges on your account and block it. So there was a question. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I was just checking my bank account and I don't think I have a when was the flight statement?
You don't have a what?
I didn't get the flight statement. Do you know what date that was?
Airfare stipend.
Airfare.
Yeah, it's a good question. Where they're being approved now, and so they're on their way out. We can expect it. I mean, look for it in the next week or so, I would say. Yeah, if you don't have.
Yeah, this time next week, if it hasn't landed, let us know. Okay.
Question about that. Is that based on how much you pay for airfare, or is that just fixed amount?
So good question. The airfare stipend is proportional to the amount of financial aid that you receive from SNP. And the example that I give with that is if you receive 50% of financial aid to attend SNP, then your airfare stipend is going to be 50% of a round trip ticket to where you're sending your bride, in that sense.
And sorry, do we report that number to you, or
Do they
how
what?
do you- do we report the cost of the flight to you guys?
No. We do the estimate ourselves, and stuff. And so, yeah. And for the students going to Denmark, your airfare scholarship is coming directly from DIS, and not from us. So, and that I think is also a set fee. It should be more than that. Yep.
For the stipend, do we get like a debit card, or is that also just like a deposit?
It's direct deposit into your bank account, just like your food stipend. Any question? I apologize if I walk towards you all while you're speaking. I'm hard of hearing, and with math, it's just I can't hear anything. So that's why I take like you're just like why should come on? Okay, so talk about money and think about your money and budgeting before you go, and not while you're there. Well, while you're there too, but there's steps to take. And then health and safety, as well, and health and wellness. Think about what your own health and needs are right now. If you're taking prescription medication, you need to be talking to your local providers about getting enough medication to take with you for the semester, your semester abroad, and potentially the summer if you're planning on staying abroad longer, and stuff. And then if your doctor says, and I'm not going to give you 4 months or 5 months of your medication, then let us know, because we can give you some tools to figure out how can you access your medication while you're abroad, and stuff. And then also think about your own wellness management too. So if you have a wellness regime here, you do yoga or you swim or you play piano, then think about how would you do that abroad, because you need to maintain your wellness while you're abroad so that you can be happy and healthy during your time. So think about what are the things that you do here that you should be trying to put in place while you're abroad. If you have any academic accommodations as well, be sure to be talking to your programs about how those accommodations will be met with abroad. Most of your programs should be providing academic accommodations as providers who are in the US and stuff. And I know for DIS, they have a really robust learning center that students can access for support, even if you don't have a learning accommodation. Let's see what else. So, no, that's it. Travel and visas. I saw some people who yet to buy their ticket. You might want to do that sooner rather than later. I'll get to the COVID piece in just a minute. As of right now, the college is not considering canceling study abroad for spring 2022, despite things that are happening. And the thing that's saving that is vaccination rate, to be honest. And I'll talk about details of that in just a minute. With that said, if you're feeling uncomfortable with the way things are happening, are going on in the world in general, and I'm not excluding the US because we're just as bad with high rates and stuff like that, you don't have to study abroad. It's okay to say, I'm not comfortable with this right now, and I'd rather stay at Smith. Okay, so don't feel like you have to do that. So if you visa processes are important, and then just remember, while you're abroad, Smith policies apply to you. You're still a Smith student while you're abroad. So you have all the rights and access to Smith, as well as academic policies, conduct policies, Title IX policies, everything. If you just Google on the Smith website policies, all of those will apply to you. So far, so good. All right. As I mentioned, here's what we're looking at in terms of COVID. This is actually the end result of what we're monitoring now pretty much on a daily basis. Prior to that, we did a huge review of all the study abroad programs to make sure that they had COVID policies published on their websites, and those policies included academic continuity, should a student get sick, test positive and need to isolate, and or hopefully never, if the program has to evacuate, and so on and so forth, that you're not going to lose the whole semester if that happens. That there's access to medical facilities, again, should the students need it, and then that they will receive treatment, and that there's generally regular testing policies. So that was kind of the first week that we did, and then we narrowed down our focus and look at these criteria. And specifically, we're looking at the first, the third, and the vaccination rate on the rates right now. We're looking at the other two, but they're less relevant. Test positivity rate, it's going up across the world right now because, and I don't know if you've been following the news or talking to folks here on campus, what's happening is Delta is colliding with Omicron right now, and that's why things are surging, even here at Smith, and stop. We're looking at the new case incident rate per 100,000. This number is important too, because little countries like Iceland, they have small population. And so if they get 5 test positivities, their curve goes like this, in a very short period of time with few people. So what the college is doing, and the STARDOG team, which is a study abroad risk advisory something group, I don't remember what the second A is they're saying, okay, yeah, Iceland might have this really, really steep curve, but it's because it's 5 people out of 100,000, whereas, that's that same number in Seoul, the curve would be a little bit flatter because the population is more. So, and then really what's saving, as I mentioned, what's saving things right now is vaccination rates, in as much around our student population, all of you going abroad, as well as the destinations where you're going and stuff. And so if you all can get your booster on Sunday, if you're eligible, and if you're not eligible until later in the spring, maybe talking to your program providers about the possibility of getting a booster while you're abroad, so that you can stay as protected as possible, right? And then, as I mentioned, if your numbers in the countries where you're going are getting to a level that you're not comfortable with, know that you don't have to study. Questions? All right. So the next section is while you're abroad. Course approval. So you all submitted a plan of study almost a year ago, right? With classes that you think you would like to take now this coming semester. And so those courses were approved, but we also know that your plan was a plan, and that the courses that you thought you were going to take back in spring of 2021 may not be available now in spring 2022. If that's the case, there is an online form that we'll show you in just a minute where you can submit a course approval form. I would request that you do that while you're abroad, unless you know which courses you're already going to take that haven't already been pre-approved, okay? But you can also go abroad. Most of your programs will have an add drop period where you can test some classes out and swap out if you need to. That's stuff, but it would be a good idea for you to get any new course approved while you're abroad. Your credits will transfer back to your Smith academic record as transfer credit. And it transfers different for each program. So the DIS program in Seoul on CIE, and maybe IPSA too, you're taking 15 of their credits, and those will translate to 16 Smith credits, okay? So just make sure that you're enrolling in what would be considered a full amount or full credit or full load of credit, and that's 15, not 12, right? Then you'll get your 16 credits at Smith. Okay, yep.
Do those go in as SU? Or do those go in as SU? Or do they go in as a grade?
Good question. So a little bit of both, to be honest. So the grades that you earn will be reported to your Smith academic record, but they will not be factored into your Smith GPA. Okay, so it'll be, what course can you tell me what course you're taking?
Urban sustainability.
Okay, so it'll be urban sustainability, 3.1 credits. Are you going to Denmark? Yeah, so 15 DIS credits equals 16, so it's like 3.13 credits, and then your grade, an A, and it'll be in a parentheses on your Smith record, right? So, and those grades will not factor into your Smith GPA, but you can use your sidebar courses for Latin honors if you'd like. You'd have to get that approved by the registrar's office. It's only the registrar's office who can say, yes, this history of Iceland course can count towards Latin honors if you want it to. Again, the grade you earn from that course will not be factored into your GPA for Latin honors and stuff, but you can use the course to fulfill the requirements if you want to. Okay, questions? All right, money and baking. We kind of talked about this, but while you're abroad, where it changes is again like international transaction fees. Also being very aware of the exchange rate, especially if you're withdrawing cash from like an ATM and stuff like that. 10 euros doesn't necessarily equal $10 and stuff. So just making sure that you're aware of, you know, how much, and then think about maybe taking out some, not huge amounts of money, but not $5 or $10 at a time, because each time you do that, you're going to get an international transaction fee. You know, so maybe take out enough for a week and stuff, but not huge. Don't take out your whole savings in one lump sum. All right. Insurance as well. You all need to carry your U.S. primary insurance that you have here at Smith, be it the Smith insurance policy or the policy that's covered by your another like parents generally and stuff like that. You have to maintain that. And then your programs will also likely provide insurance. So you need to carry 2 insurance coverage. If you get sick, you're likely going to use your program's insurance, right? Because that insurance is specifically to be used in your countries, okay? The reason you want to keep your US insurance is because there could be a gap between what's covered by your program insurance and the actual bill. So if there is a gap, you want to send that gap amount to your US insurance so that you don't have to pay out of pocket for that. Okay, so that's why it's important to keep both valid. The other reason to keep both valid too, this happened a long time ago, but I worked with a student who dropped their US insurance. They went abroad and it was like a week before the end of the program, they were playing soccer and broke an ankle. And they were in the cast, and they came back home and they needed to get the cast removed. And they tried to submit the bill to their home insurance, and the home insurance is like, you dropped us, so you're gonna have to pay out of pocket for that. So things like that, which seem random, could come back to haunt you. So it's best to just keep them both. All right, you're also covered. Yep.
I was just gonna ask about travel insurance. Do you think you need that?
That's a good question. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea in today's uncertain times to have travel insurance. I think it really depends on your risk tolerance level and stuff. I have never done travel insurance, so I wouldn't necessarily get it. But have you used travel insurance before?
I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know. It takes some good shopping skills, is what I'm aware of, because a lot of times there's exclusions for like acts of God or something like that in travel insurance policies. And you know, when things
Struck by lightning or something.
or when things first went down in the pandemic, it fell into that loophole for travel sometimes. So companies tried to wriggle, and as they often do. So it takes good shopping skills, but yeah, it's always about risk tolerance and
Yeah, and sometimes travel insurance is good if you want to like be reimbursed for your ticket that you weren't able to use. But I would probably perhaps pay more to get like a refundable ticket than get travel insurance in that sense. You might also consider personal property insurance while you're abroad too, in case your laptop dies, something like that. So.
Yeah, just a note on that insurance. I know a lot of airlines exclude pandemics from their refund policies, so just make sure you're paying attention to that, I guess, how much.
Good point. Yeah, everybody who is any place who could save money, that's what they're doing for sure. Okay.
did you also have a question?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. The other insurance that you're covered by as well, and hopefully you won't need to use this. It's provided to you automatically as a Smith student. You actually have it here, but it'll also apply for you while you're abroad. You have medical evacuation and what's the other? Medical evacuation and the other name of I don't know. Repatriation, that's what it is. Medical evacuation and repatriation. So medical evacuation will be used if you are so ill that the medical services provided in the country you're at are not sufficient enough to treat what you need to have treated. Then this insurance will relocate you to the nearest facility that can provide that service. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be admitted back to the U.S. It'll be to the nearest facility. And so most of your destinations, though for you in Europe, it would be unlikely that they would be able to treat. I'm not sure about Latin America and stuff. And then repatriation is insurance that if something happens and you don't survive that happen, then your remains will be returned to the U.S. So that won't happen, but know that you're covered should you need it. Right? All right. Safety and security, insurance, health and wellness, like we talked. Okay, with health and wellness while you're abroad, pay attention to your emotional ups and downs. You are all have done extremely well doing the transition back to on campus, right? Which for a lot of you probably felt for me, it felt very strange because everything was familiar and yet everything was different. And so I was like, I felt like I was in a matrix. Like I know how to do some things, but not others. And so that was really hard. It was really hard and stuff. And so things are starting to settle down. So that kind of sensation will likely happen to you when you go abroad, okay? On a similar level. So give yourself some time to adjust, right? And to settle in and to learn. Your learning curve is going to be really steep when you first get there. So just remember to give yourself some time, pay your attention. And if you're feeling that you're feeling a little bit down in the dumps, then seek help, okay? And so in this, you can also apply for Denmark and Iceland because of the time of year that you're going, there's gonna be very little daylight. And so if you feel like you're starting to experience seasonal affective disorder due to a lack of daylight, speak up as well, and let people know so that they can help you. Right? Safety is also really important to learn and to listen to the arrival instructions that you get on how to be maintained safe. You know, the countries that you're going, Buenos Aires for sure, because I've been there, I know, is not like Northampton, right? And a lot of instances throughout the world, regardless of where you're going, the people who are going to steal your things are pretty good at doing it. And you may not even know that you've had something taken from you until hours or even the next day. And the most common report we get is, I was out with a friend having coffee, I got home and my laptop was gone or my phone was gone. And the student had no idea, right? So try to pay attention on how to keep your personal belongings as safe. Also your personal safety, like don't go out at night by yourself. Kind of things are just common in a new environment, you know, making sure you're not taking more risks than you should be. Adjusting to a new culture. There's going to be a lot of things with new cultures wherever you're going, from language to meal times to how do you pass somebody on the street, and how do you avoid getting hit by a bike instead of avoiding getting hit by a car, and so on. Making sure that you stay connected to Smith is also really important as well, because this is where you'll get information next semester about room draft, about registering for courses, about, praxis, if you intend to stay abroad during the summer and you want to do that, that's, you'll get that information. And any emails from Angela and I will also be going to. Yep.
For praxis, do you have to apply to stay in the country that you're at, or can you be like, oh, I want to go somewhere else?
I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure you can go wherever you want. There's no restriction. You don't have to be in the same country. The other thing you should also look into before the pandemic, the deadline to apply for praxis for students who are studying abroad was the last day of their program, and not the mid-April date that is for the students on campus and stuff. But double check that out. I'm pretty sure there's information on the website about the timing of that. Okay. Anything else? All right, let's move on. As I mentioned, there's on the study abroad website, there's a whole section called While You're Abroad, and there's lots of information there. But what you will primarily be using is your update your address link. We'd like for you to give us your new contact information once you have it. We're not going to be trailing around and saying, oh, where's the student or things like that, but it's helpful in case of an emergency that we're able to contact you in other ways other than email, right? So once you have it, if you can give us your address, the physical address, you know, if you have a local phone number as well, we would really appreciate that. Course change form, so what I talked about, right? It's exactly, once you get there and there's a new course that did not get previously approved, you submit this course change form. And then the transit stipend, this is a lot of students like this one. If you need to take transportation to get from where you're living to where you're taking your classes, you can apply for a transit stipend, and we will cover that for you. So some students in Denmark, they rent a bike for the semester, we'll cover that. Students may need to get a metro pass to take the subway, we'll cover that and stuff. But you can't get requested transit stipend until you actually get there and figure out what it is that you actually need. But Smith will cover those for you as well. Questions? And I'll send out housekeeping emails with all of this information too, and stuff. And there's information in the middle site. So if you don't retain it today, that's okay. I'm going to skip this for now. This information is in the Moodle site about resilient traveling and just some things that you can put into place for yourself. I just lost this. That you can put into place for yourself to help, go through, manage the ups and downs of studying abroad. Loneliness, we talked about, the students already mentioned in this group and the previous groups about fear of missing out, how to manage culture shock, group conflicts, or your personal struggles as well. All right, skip this. We're going to skip this. This is a good video. And it's not letting me move forward. Hold on a second. Hey, okay. Cultural competence is also something that will be really important. So you're going to have an opportunity to take some classes that you will not be able to take here at Smith. So the academic opportunities are huge. Your personal opportunities as well are also huge. To get to know a new place, to gain some self-confidence, and be like, oh, I can actually do this. And I remember distinctly my first time figuring out what bus to take to get from my home state family to the university where I was studying. It was like such a triumph, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm finally getting this." Okay, so there's also personal growth, and all of that together creates your cultural competence. And I think it's important for students to be thinking about what traits are necessary, because this is an opportunity to build upon the cultural competence that you have established here at Smith. Try that out in a new context, improve on it, and then use that moving forward for your senior year and post-Smith plans. And stuff. And then as you do that, think about, why is cultural competence important? Why is it necessary? Especially in today's world. I hope that's an easy enough question to answer. But if you don't have an answer, I invite you to think about it and reflect on it a little bit. And then how can study abroad influence your cultural competence? And how can you leverage that moving forward with graduate school applications or internship applications or job applications? How do you take a little nugget of your study abroad experience and leverage that to be the most attractive candidate that you're in the applicant pool? And that is definitely true. And Angela will help you with that a little bit when you get back. When you come back to campus, we're working with the Lazarus Center to help the students to kind of reflect. And then I know it seems like a very long time. You're like, I haven't even left, and you're talking to me about coming back. But you do have to think about that. And as I mentioned, there's going to be, during the spring semester, quite a few housekeeping emails, course registration, financial aid. Make sure that you have your financial aid in place and on time, so that there's not any problems for your senior year, for those of you who are coming back as seniors. And stuff. If you're an international student, making sure you're talking with the International Students and Scholars Office about any paperwork that you might need to be able to re-enter the US. If, regardless of your nationality and your vaccination status, right now, the US is requiring negative COVID tests taken within a day before you depart from your host country. I'm hoping that in the summer that will change, but we'll keep you posted if that's a requirement and stuff like that. Think about summer funding opportunities. If we've already talked about Praxis, which you can use. You can apply for an international experience grant to help do something during the summer. You can use your study abroad experience for a Fulbright application. And in the past, of the Smith Fulbright recipients, I would say a good 60, almost 70% are students who studied abroad. So studying abroad can definitely help enhance a Fulbright application. There's also projects for peace and other activities to do during the summer. And then thinking about, how would you showcase the new you? So one of the things that I would find really sad is if students study abroad and they go abroad and they come back and they're like, oh, that was cool. And they just continue on with almost the same thing that they were doing when they came back. And this is really an opportunity, like I said, for personal growth. And how do you demonstrate that you have that personal growth, that you gain that you're still you, but you're also a new version of you? And thinking about, how do you showcase that? And just know we're here for you. Myself and Angelo are here 24/7 for you. Dean Caitlin and Claire in the International Students Office and then Laura Gomez, who is our coordinator for the Global Studies Center. And if I don't have the pleasure, we don't have the pleasure of seeing you between now and December 17th and beyond, we wish you the best of luck in your semester. And thank you for your time today.